Welcome to the You Are a Force podcast channel, your go-to space for real stories, fearless dreams, and unstoppable women rewriting the rules. And the force behind this podcast. Here is your host, Binoli Botadara.
Hi everyone, welcome to You Are a Force, the podcast where we celebrate women who just don't follow trends, they actually outlast them. I'm your host Binoli Botadara, and today I have someone very, very special. Someone over the 2 decades, actually her name has been synonymous with very specific kind of effortless elegance. She makes everything looks very seamless. She's a pioneer into resort wear in India, seamlessly marrying intricate soul of Indian embroidery with the very sharp silhouettes of the West. She is a stylist of Virat Kohli places we live and move in. She has showcased her prestigious work into fashion weeks, walked international runways, and also left her imprint on many other areas. And this is not just one of the things she does, but she has also just recently co-founded Anyone, which is actually breaking through a very different industry and sector. So designer, visionary, and someone very versatile, a woman who just doesn't set a pace, she actually raises the bar. So it's my absolute honor to have someone who is very special and a force to reckon with, Nandita Mahtani. Nandita, thank you so much for being on You Are a Force.
Hi, Binoli. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that spectacular introduction.
No, I absolutely mean it. And I was just wondering that someone who does so much and she still manages to find time to reply to my messages. So first time when you said yes, I was so flattered. I was like, oh my God, like how does she do it? Do you have like 48 hours in a day? Like how do you manage so many things? I always wonder that.
I guess time management is something that, I've learned along the way. Initially, I was not. That's I think, one of my biggest issues has always been being a little late. So I've figured it out, now, and I try to manage things differently. And, I guess when you schedule things in and, you make time specifically for certain things, it ends up working out.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's a great piece of advice also for me because I also try and prioritize in different ways, and sometimes it
Yes.
works, sometimes it doesn't. But
Yeah.
Nandita, I want to
It
start.
happens, I guess, when we all have slightly chaotic lives, and with the cities we live in and with the
100%.
traffic and keeping all of that in mind, I guess it
Yeah,
happens. But I guess
but
if
you're
you
here.
plan in advance, I guess it could work out.
I know, I agree, I agree. Nandita, I want to start at the top. You grew up in Bombay and
That's right.
your childhood, I really want to pick up on that because in this chaotic life, I want to know that how was your childhood, impacted who you became today because the kind of clothes you created or your love affair with the fashion and the art and everything. So, were you like a child you wanted to always get into art, or were you having like outlandish dreams of becoming maybe an astronaut or something completely outlandish?
I think I think as a child I was always drawn towards the arts and craft world. I always enjoyed creating things, sketching, painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of me was always very interested in sport. So
Really?
pretty much anything to get out of academics, I think. So it was like anything other than that. But I was very interested in the creative space. I think from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed making things. I enjoyed seeing how things come together when when you put your, like, literally you're working with your hands, and when you finally get the outcome, it was just very exciting for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think growing up in Bombay as well, I think always gave me a lot of inspiration because of the energy in the city, and with like the fabrics, the cultures that we have, the different festivals, dressing up during holidays like Diwalis and Holi, and
Mm-hmm.
just I think all the craft and the emotion and all of it put together, it's
Mm-hmm.
I'd say like it's like poetic chaos, in the most beautiful way, of course. And
Yeah.
so I think all of those things really did inspire me in a sense, but I don't know if I ever thought about becoming a designer. I think it's just something that happened quite naturally. But I was always drawn towards, the aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
um, part of life, I would say.
Okay, interesting. And when you decided to actually launch your first collection, we always know that there's some special memory attached to that, or some special reason why you did a particular campaign or particular design. So, do you have any first sketch which actually has a very vivid memory, if you would like to share with us?
Uh, so, I actually just started out very by chance in a way. I did my first collection per se, I would say. I don't even know how to call it that, but when I was 16.
No.
And I was just out of like school, high school, and I just wanted to do something, and I couldn't figure out, how it is, you're at that age where you
Mhm.
don't know what you want to do, but you want to do
Yeah,
something.
of
So I
course.
used to go to this particular factory, and I used to just sit with them there and with the workers and create stuff. And I created a collection of pashmina shawls with
Mm-hmm.
matching handbags, with the shawls with embroidery and bags with embroidery. And I just decided, okay, this is looking like fun. And like I said, when you see the outcome, you get excited, and I'd keep doing more and more pieces, and it ended up becoming a collection.
Wow.
And I just did like a kind of a trunk show, and it sold really well. And that was just like a one-off kind of thing that I did, and then went into college, and then life had other plans for me, and then I got back into this space much later on. I'd say maybe 6, 7 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I started off with opening a boutique in Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Delhi at the time, and there wasn't much. And Delhi is always known for, especially when you live in Bombay, you always know of Delhi, for the clothes and for the designers and the beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
crafts and
Sure.
textiles, and but you never really heard of it as far as like having a space where you buy Western designs. It was more about the Indian clothes.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine and me decided to start a boutique that sold Western wear and party wear, and which was Indian designers, not foreign brands and
Yeah.
designers, but there was a lot of designers making some great stuff, and primarily from Bombay, because
Mm.
here I guess the culture is a little more
More
easygoing in
flexible.
that sense.
Yeah.
So we started out quite a few labels from here and brought them to Delhi, and that's how my I guess my career sort of started off,
Mm-hmm.
and then that moved into another label which my sister actually started off
Okay.
in London because she was living there,
Yeah.
which was called Ananya,
Okay.
which was a beachwear brand,
Hmm.
resort wear label. And
Yeah.
it was, she's the first person to really bring the kurta, the kaftan to the UK. And this is back in, I'd say, 99, 2000, around then. So she used to design herself as well. And I used to design part of the collection for her as well. So I started off like that, designing and creating manufacturing here and then sending it to her there. And then a few years later, got into doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
And then which led to me creating my own collection. So that's pretty much how it started off, but it was very much by um, default in a
Yeah.
sense.
It just was, I think, meant to be, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and speaking of resort wear, I think when you started, it was like nothing really was available in India at that point in time. Like predominantly, whenever we thought of European summer, we would always think of like a lot of European designers, and
Yes.
but to identify that gap in the market, which is now going to be almost 3.5 billion by 2027, the whole resort wear or luxury resort wear. So I'm just very curious that first, how did you see that gap? Like, of course, we just spoke about, your sister identifying that, and then you brought that also an element to bring that in India. But I'm sure it was not easy to educate the customer also to sort of get into that space, because pioneering in any category is actually 5x more expensive, according to the Harvard Business Review, than any other established, you know, sector or category.
So I think you're right about you're saying when it costs a lot more, but what I saw was an opportunity, and I wanted to interpret that idea, through an Indian lens. So like using, of course, our embroideries and textiles, but silhouettes that felt more modern and effortless. And the thing is that I did feel like there was a gap in the market, as what you call vacation dressing at that point. And people, of course, in India, you go to the beach a lot, but I didn't find that there was any resort wear brand at that point that catered to people who were traveling, and people have started traveling a lot more. Having said that, even from since then, and so it was more about doing something new and doing something that I was really passionate about, which I loved. I still today love resort wear. Wherever I go, I pick up pieces all over the world, any beach resort. And you always pick up something. And I just feel there's something about holiday wear that, how do I put it? Like it's just the minute you buy that piece, you already feel like you're going on holiday. And I think we're all like that. I mean, till today, and I think we just wanted to start something that Indian women could relate to and would match their lifestyle. And I still, like, till today, have people who call me and they tell me that they still wear my pieces that they bought when I first launched, and that feels really good. And I just feel really good that to know that my designs are still part of some women's wardrobes when they go on holiday. So
love that. And you're totally right that it just shifts you or transports you in a different frame of mind as soon as you buy something which you know that you're gonna wear it on the holiday.
exactly.
Yeah, but Nandita, tell me honestly that for any entrepreneur or any fashion designer, there are obviously days which are not very glamorous. What we see the pieces out there, there's so much of hard work and a lot of stress goes behind from the sketch to what we see in the showroom. So, and you being who you are, you're not the loudest person in the room. And we live in a world where, on the TikTok trends and everything, it just sort of amplifies, the brand. But also the quiet luxury is also another side to it. But
Yes.
I want to know, can you share any unglamorous lessons you learned or some tough lessons you learned when you started actually getting into the business mindset, not just being a designer or just the creative person?
I think I think fashion teaches you humility very quickly. So like you said, it all seems very glamorous on the outside, but I think some of the biggest lessons I learned had nothing to do with glamour and creativity. I think it was a lot about production timelines, managing your artisans and craftsmen and your workshops and understanding margins and inventory and all these things that people don't realize. Like when you showcase on a runway, like none of this is even, it's like a regular business, right? That you have to look into every detail. And it kind of sucks the creativity out of you at that point, because when you start, you're always thinking like, oh my God, I wasn't planning on doing all of this. Like you want to
Mm.
do, you're just looking at design and you're looking at, the final outcome.
Yeah,
And that's what excites you, I guess, as a, to become a designer.
true.
But honestly, I feel like, I mean, the creativity part
Hmm.
of the job comes down to, I'd say, 20-30%. A lot of it is, hard work, discipline,
Hmm.
and resilience. And you have to just keep going.
Hmm.
You can't, because there's a lot of places there that will, I mean, you cry on the job very often because, it's like sometimes you feel like you're breaking your head against the
I
wall. And
know, I know. Maybe
so,
that's also a way of expressing, right?
yeah, true. It
Sometimes,
is. It is. It
yeah.
is for sure.
True. But no, you're right, absolutely. And you need to be very agile with the situation and you have to tweak a lot of things because a lot is not in our hands, when it comes to artisans or whoever in the entire supply chain.
Exactly, because it's teamwork, right? And there's a lot of people that are involved in one
Correct.
garment. So,
Correct.
and it's about, expressing what it is that you want and hoping that, it
Hmm.
actually shows up the way you expected it to.
True. So, Nandita, I want to pick something which actually is very interesting. That you have been styling men likes of Virat Kohli, and which is so phenomenal because you have a journey which is so feminine, creativity in terms of resort wear and for women, which is very, very feminine, colorful side to it. But also at the same time, when you style men, very masculine, very chic, very different. So I want to understand that as a stylist, how do you actually, choose just apart from the clothes for them, and what really goes behind in terms of the creative process?
So I think when you're working with, personalities like say Virat, it's not only about choosing the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a lot, it's about understanding who they are, what stage of their life they're in, what image they want to portray and
Mm-hmm.
project. And uh, and I feel it's a lot about bringing their own personality, you know, into the look and feel of whatever it is, whether it's for an advertisement. I mean, even clients have a certain
Requirements.
a guideline that they want you to keep as far as the look and feel, but trying to incorporate, their wants and needs as a brand, as well as the personality you're working with, because it has to also be something that they're comfortable with wearing
Mm-hmm.
and something that resonates with them and with their, you
Yeah.
know, personal style and their personality, and keeping in mind that, they are sportsmen at the same time. So I think a lot of that goes into play. And
Mm.
I mean, I think it's almost psychological in a sense, like you have to there's a lot of people to keep happy at that time. And at the end of the day, the talent also has to look, great.
Mm.
And because they are selling a product or a service at the end of the day. So I
Mm.
think it just, in short, it has to translate a personality into clothing.
Okay.
And I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing because I just wonder that, when you are selling your resort wear, you don't know who is going to buy that and you're not
Yes.
aware of your end customer. Here it's just exactly the reverse, right? You know who's
Yeah.
going to wear it and then you design. So it's sort of psychological switch you have to do in both
I
times.
mean, like even when I design my resort and women's wear, to be honest, I keep myself in mind a lot of the time, because I feel like if I'm not going to be able to wear something,
Mm-hmm.
then how do I sell it?
Mm.
It's like I'm not good at selling something that I actually don't believe in personally. So I actually almost I try on almost every new design, for the fits, for the look, for the fall, for everything, and then to see how flattering it is. Because look, at the end of the day, we, especially Indian women, we have certain majority, I would say, have certain body types, and you know, and being a woman, I know, like, we go through different phases in our lives. Our bodies change,
Sure.
like, on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to also keep those in mind, in a sense where you can camouflage really well,
Mm.
and And at the end of the day, I think the garment has to be flattering on you.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like I said, I do keep myself in mind a lot of the time, because I feel like, I'm not going to be able to wear this. Of course, there are pieces that, what we call like ramp worthy, and which, when you're doing a fashion show, you do things sometimes that are not really sellable, but they add that glamour to the show, for show content. So
Sure. And what happens, I'm going to ask something cheeky. What happens to the pieces which are created but not sold? I mean, generally, because these pieces are like one of a kind. So,
yes,
in general, in the fashion, either they actually sell it or sometimes they scrape it. So, I want to
yeah.
understand that. How do you just write them off or do you put it at a discount and sell it off?
So initially, yes, we do. A lot of the time, these pieces are used for like editorials, for photo shoots. So which sometimes you can't sell them anyway, because they've been, you
Used.
know, used and worn, for certain, sometimes the people take them for, they're bought for ad films again. And sometimes you do get stuck with them. In that case, either we try, of course, to go on a sale, and if they go, they go. But in some cases, they don't. And then I guess you just, store it and put it in a stock, and then I guess they go into your archives. And once in a while, you pull it out, and sometimes we've even reinvented the pieces and reused them in a show in a way that, again, you can. Kind of like recycle it, but change it up a bit so that it can add some drama to the show. But we know we're not going to be selling it, and so we try and do our best with what we can in
That's
that sense.
amazing. That's amazing because I never thought like that. And so many times when we in Paris and London, we go to these vintage stores, we do buy like the last collection or collection 10 years back, and then we sort of
Yes.
style it with the contemporary ways of accessories, and then we do wear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty much the same. Very true. And Nandita, whenever I was talking you to, or doing in a nicer way, I was doing research for this, I was quite fascinated that your areas of interest were into from Cartoon Network to, with the Farah Khan jewelry as well. So when you shift industries from one to another, though it looks creative and seamless, how do you first think or choose a particular collab when you do it, because they all are very diverse, and then how do you put your different unique perspective compared to the person who is actually bringing a lot of core industry insights?
I think for me, instinct plays a huge role in almost everything I do. It's if I feel it in my heart, I just go with it, because,
Yeah.
and thankfully, I've always pretty much made the right choice and the right decision. And I think also when you've been in the creative industry long enough, you kind of develop a sense of, what aligns with your world and your aesthetic and what doesn't. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's how, like with Farah, we were literally just chatting one day, and she's a good friend from a long time. And the thing is, like, like when you're in the creative space, for me, anytime I get to create anything, I'm excited, be it, jewelry, or to design a home, or, like if you tell me to design a carpet, or like, create lighting in a certain way, or a floral arrangement, or pick out art, or anything. I mean, that's in that space, I'm all for it.
It makes us soul
So
happy, right? And because
sorry.
then it makes us soul happy. So there are no
Yes,
right or
yes.
wrong answers. So I'm also pretty much like not like you. I'm not comparing myself to you, but I also love designing and creating.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so I work in finance, nothing to do with this side of the world. But ever since I was a child, I designed my own outfits. I used to make outfits for my mom's saris. And
Oh,
for all
wow.
my friends and family, I would be like literally sketching and then making things for them. And it just made me so happy that even like a small, flower with the paper and those kind of things also,
Yes.
yeah, so it's just something which I also enjoy doing. I love going to museums, and my friends hate me for that, but
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 so do I when I love it.
yeah, yeah.
I find it very interesting.
It's so interesting. Like last week, I went to this gallery in Somerset House, Court Lord Gallery. So they have a very special collection by George Seurat. So he brought like from impressionism to neo-impressionism, and it was so beautiful to like go in and out of that painting with all the small like strokes, and it was
Um,
just beautiful.
I
And
must see
just
them.
yeah, and it just changes your perspective to so many things, the color.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So, like, I didn't study fashion. I studied history of art.
Did
I mean, that
you?
was one of the subjects that I, majored in, and I find it fascinating, and different forms, different, eras, and I just find it very exciting. And any exhibition, that's on. I mean, I try and make an effort to,
Yeah,
just
you
visit.
would love that if, I mean, when you come to London, if it's still on, you would love that because I think that with art, there are some things so interesting that one, it could be interpreted in whichever capacity you want.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
every time you see, depending on your mindset, your lookout to life, it interprets or speaks in a different way. So I believe that's a power of art and that medium or visualization, however you can.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a way to express yourself. Exactly.
Express, yeah, 100%. But now I want to pivot into something which is completely different and which is anyone, which is your new baby in terms of completely different world of motorsports, Formula One, but also you are trying to keep it luxurious, which is core to your strength, but
Yeah.
also bringing something which is more Indianized version. So I want to understand that how different is the soul of anyone compared to everything what you have done so far, because it when the product itself is actually functioning at 200 miles per hour, what do you keep in mind in terms of creating something which is true to yourself, but also you need to pivot to a new industry and new product offering?
So, you're right. It's completely different from what I've done in the past. Like even aesthetically wise, it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
And so when this came to me, this was actually something that my um, uh, sister had an idea again, and she just thought, why not create luxury motorsport, sportswear, because like a sport like like F1, Formula One it's quite niche in a sense. Like either you have, like the hardcore fans, or then you have a different crowd, which is, it's more social. It's more about the networking. It's more about the scene. It's not really so much about, you know, watching the sport. And so we wanted to create something that was, for women because you have a lot of women who attend F1 as well. But like, what does one wear? Like, what you're wearing if you're going to tennis match, for example,
Yeah,
or to a cricket
Wimbledon.
match, right? But when
Sure.
you're going to F1, you want to kind of be uh, in the spirit of things, but at the same time, you're not like, you don't want to be wearing like a team t-shirt either. So you want to be a little chic and, stylish. So,
Yeah.
and that's when we came up with this, and we do it in collaboration with Gulf. And Gulf has been an iconic brand. It was very well known in the 70s with Steve McQueen and, in the fashion space as well. And it was a very cool time to be, donning like sportswear, motorsport clothing. And but it always had this vintage feel to it. And we
Okay.
were like, why not recreate, that kind of sensibility and bring it
Sure.
to everyone. So, and I think motorsport in particular is, it's got an incredible aesthetic on its own, because it's got precision, speed, engineering, and it's completely different energy from the traditional kind of fashion that we see otherwise. So for me, it was very exciting to collaborate on because I'm firstly a very big F1 fan anyway, and for me to do something in this, in this space was like it was like a challenge as well because it's like you said, it's so different from what I do otherwise,
Yeah.
and it's been a great experience for us. So we just launched in Harvey Nichols in London
Okay.
as of last month. So that's our first retail space.
Okay.
And otherwise, we're online. And yeah, so it's growing slowly, and we haven't brought it to India yet, but hoping to maybe later this year. Let's see how things go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And when you speak of brands like Harvey Nichols and such big departmental chain across the world, apart from just the great pieces and creativity, what really goes into it to get an access into that prime, spot next to Gucci's or, maybe Louis Vuittons of the world? Because that speaks volume for itself, when you have
So,
a space in a brand like that.
uh, I mean, it's not easy for sure. It's a tough space. It's
To break
I've
into.
Of course, as you know, fashion is extremely competitive. There's a new brand coming up every day, and there's some fantastic brands. Like each brand is better than the other. There's such great design and aesthetic and quality today. And
Yeah.
every brand stands for that. It's not like there's just one or two brands. All brands now are very conscious about that, and so it's not been an easy journey in that sense to but again, like I would say, stores like a Harvey Nichols or like the bigger department stores, they I think they watch you as a brand to watch you grow and to see that you're going to sustain, because there are a lot of brands that start off and then after a while, maybe a year or 2 years, it's
Disappear.
difficult to sustain it because it's not an easy business to be in. You
No.
end up spending a lot. A lot goes into it, and sadly, many brands do shut down. So I think with stores like that, I think they keep an eye on you. They may like your brand on day one and your first season, but a lot of the time they only come
Yeah.
back to you to see that you're consistent and that you're there to deliver as well. So I think that's one of the key points to look at. And I guess with us, what we're doing is quite niche and quite different. So I think they were quite drawn to, the collection, the style that we had, and I mean, they loved the brand the day they saw it. So it's very exciting for us at this point.
Amazing, amazing. I love that. And since you like every aspect of different creative sides to the business, and you're an entrepreneur, you're a creative designer, and so on. If there were no rules, geography, barriers, if you were to collaborate with somebody who is present or maybe from the past, who would you choose to collaborate with? And something very different to what you've done so far. If you were to pick two things, so one, a person you can collaborate with, and something completely outlandish you haven't done so far, but you would love to do it in the future. So what's next for Nandita?
I mean, I would love to collaborate yeah, with a sportswear brand, as in, and not like anyone, but like which we are luxury sport, but like like I find a brand like Adidas one of the coolest brands. I wear a lot of it, and I would love to, that's something that I would love to give my creative, expertise to.
Wow, let's
And
manifest that.
yes, let's. And I mean, another brand internationally that I just love the aesthetic and the way they do things and the way they work is Ralph Lauren. I find I find it very classic. I find it it never goes out of style,
Very chic, yeah.
and I just love his work.
Okay, okay, cool. And I want to know that you hang out socially and in terms of work also, from the cricketers to the people in the boardroom and the celebrities and the actresses and who's who of India and abroad. So I want to pick your brain that according to you, what is that one common trait most successful or um, most celebrated people have in common as per your understanding of the circles you move in?
Discipline,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And I think it's also a lot of focus, clarity, and also I think, when you see people who are very successful, most of the time it hasn't happened overnight. And people have, gone through, you know, a lot, I'm assuming, to get to where they are. So they kind of know what they want and what they don't want. And they kind of, so like I said, clarity, I think they're clear.
Yeah.
And I think also time is very important. I think perhaps I could say that maybe they don't want to waste their time on things that they know are not going to, benefit from any. And when I say benefit, I don't necessarily mean monetarily, but
No,
in
there's an
every aspect of
opportunity
life,
cost.
like whether
There's an
it's
opportunity cost, absolutely.
no, and also it's their own time that they want,
Yeah,
for themselves,
yeah,
and instead of wasting it on something that's you
correct.
know um,
Yeah,
n-
yeah. And
not
exactly.
meaning anything at
No,
that point
exactly.
for them.
That's what I meant by opportunity cost, that you could be spending that 1 hour doing something else, which might result into maybe something more rewarding, not in terms of monetary, but in terms of physical, mental,
Yes,
social, or
exactly. Just looking after yourself or just being with your
yeah.
family or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
whatever. Yeah, absolutely. So rather than wasting your time in doing something which is not going to result much, I think basically
Mm.
just prioritizing and knowing what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, that's
Yes.
something very interesting because I mean, there's so much of noise and chaos around us, and to pick and choose, you've got to be like clever enough because when you
Yeah.
have a lot of people who are trying to put their agenda into your mind because they're gonna benefit out of it, and you need to be super clever and smart to actually filter out a lot of those things and
Yes.
identify what will work for you. I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be something like a case study for sure. And
True.
Nandita, I want to understand from your journey so far. I'm sure every entrepreneur, every person's journey has loads of ups and downs. So I want to know if you can share with us any personal or professional failure which you felt it was a complete disaster at that point in time. But looking back, you're very grateful that that happened because it taught you something very, very special, or it really made you the person who you are today.
So I think there was a point where I had started a brand called Love Gen with two of my partners, Bhavna Pandey and Dolly Sadhwani. Three of us started together, and when we started, we were super excited about starting this high street label, uh, and we went in. Of course, being a startup, we went in full force, and it was great up to a point, and then it reached a point where we were all three of us so overwhelmed with the amount of work that we had taken on and not realizing what we were getting into. And even though I've been in the fashion space, and so is the rest of them, but in different, uh, I would say, in a very different way. For like me, my label was very different because I wasn't mass producing. I wasn't, running a factory and warehousing. And it was, I would say, much more on a smaller scale. And we got into things, obviously operations and back end and e-commerce, and to the point where we were literally pulling our hair out. And so I would say I wouldn't call it a disaster or anything, but it was definitely a lesson that I learned, and I think all of us did. And uh, I say these experiences only teach you,
Yeah.
uh, you know, and it's just something to think about. Uh, what you did, what you should not have done, what you would do better,
And what your strengths
and it
are.
only makes you stronger. You come
Oh,
back
100%.
stronger.
100%. Because
Yeah, and
at the time you don't try, how would you know whether it will work,
exactly,
right?
exactly. And like we just went in, like full on, like without, planning too much. But in hindsight, I guess these moments are, the ones that shape you the most.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the crux of it, isn't it? Because now next time you will start anything new, you would do the end-to-end planning and think about the entire supply chain, not just the creative part, which you are sort
Exactly.
of
I mean,
what.
like today, I always think of, something new that I want to do. But even if I'm sitting and chatting with someone who could be a potential partner,
Hmm.
sorry, I'm always very clear of what I'm not going to be able to do and what I know I'm not capable of doing, from the beginning. So I would say that experience gave me that
Yeah.
understanding of what I don't want to do and what
What your
I mean, okay,
strengths and
if
weaknesses.
forced, I would do it, but
Yeah.
if I had the choice, I would rather stick to being, more on the creative side of things as opposed to the other side because it wasn't fun by the end of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's amazing.
Sorry,
And
do I just
last but
get some?
not,
I just want to get some water.
yeah, go ahead.
1 second, sorry. Sorry, you know what? Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to message somebody to just tell them.
Yeah.
How long do you think we'll be done in like,
5. 5 minutes.
okay.
Cool. So, Nandita, last but not least, if you were to give one piece of advice to all the young women or everyone who is listening today, what would it be?
Sorry, I have to come back to you. 1 minute. Just sorry, she's just messaging me and sorry. Can you just start again?
Yeah. So, Nandita, last but not least, if you were to give one piece of advice to everyone who is listening today, what would it be?
I would say that whatever it is that you want to do and start out, I think you have to just keep your integrity no matter what. Um, Keep your individuality, and like don't lose your taste and your perspective and your creative mindset. And of course you have to be true to yourself, number one. And I think kindness plays a huge part in your story because it's something that you create a lot of goodwill along the way. And if you want to, especially if you're in the fashion industry, I mean, or any industry for that matter, I think that if you want to go a long way, I feel that makes a big difference because I feel relationships are something that one must respect and hold on to. And like today, I feel really good. Like I have you know a lot of girls who worked with me in the past, and till today they message me every now and then to tell me, like a thing like I just want to say that you've been our best boss and our best teacher, and we always remember you. And just randomly I get a message from them and it makes me feel so good.
Hmm.
And I guess I did something right. and
Yeah,
uh, and I feel sometimes things don't work out with certain people, but I always feel like if you can end things on a good note,
yeah,
uh, because you never know what someone's going through at that point in their life. And that's why I feel like kindness is a very important part of everything that you do.
amazing. And they say that, what you tell someone, people usually forget or sometimes forget, but how you made them feel, no one forgets that. And
Exactly.
that's very true. And on that note, Nandita, before I let you go, I'm just going to ask very quickly rapid fire questions. Whatever comes to
Okay.
mind, just bring it on. What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
It's funny, but I received this quite recently,
Hmm.
uh, and where I was talking to this friend, and I actually said that, you know, I'm gonna stop doing this, and I'm gonna stop doing this, and I'm gonna, focus on this and doing more. So, and he said to me, he's like, instead of stopping this and stopping that, why don't you just start doing some new things? The things you always wanted to do. And I never looked at it in that way. And I was like, that is actually an amazing piece of advice. And I decided to do it. And I had a list of things that I've always wanted to do. And you know how you keep saying, I'm going to do it, but when I have the time, and there's never the time.
No, I
You
agree.
just have to make that time. And in the last 2 weeks, I ended up doing 3 of the things that I wanted to do. And I'm so happy that I did, because it's something that I could have done so much earlier. And
No,
so
more
that I
power
would
to
say
you. Yeah, it's absolutely just prioritizing, and I think just looking at half glass full, right? Then half empty.
exactly.
True. If you were to meet 16 years old Nandita today, what would you tell her?
Oh, wow. A lot of lectures. I would say, I mean, one thing I have to say that, when you're younger, you're fearless.
Hmm.
So I would say don't change in that aspect at all, because, you just go with things with, you have an idea and you're like, I'm just doing it. And
Hmm.
you don't ask questions. You don't know what can go wrong. You just go with stuff. And the older you get, there's more doubts, there's more fears, there's more. So, I mean, in that aspect, I mean, but I would definitely say, like, don't trust so easily, because, you're very gullible at that age and you believe everything anybody has to say. And, and try to be a little tougher, because I've always been extremely sensitive. And I think that's also gotten in the way of a lot of my,
Choices and doing
yes.
fair enough. One daily self-care routine you swear by.
Mm, oh God, nothing really in particular, but self-care. I mean, I think for me, it's just the usual, very basic,
What is that?
um, cleanse, wash, SPF.
Okay.
Simple. Yeah.
Okay. Three products you can't live without. SPF?
SPF, yes. But yes, I guess you could say that. And I think my ginseng water. I use a few Korean products.
Okay.
And I don't like to overuse stuff, because I like to keep it minimal as much as
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
And I would say, yeah, my face wash. That's it.
Which is the international fashion brand and one Indian fashion brand you love the most.
Uh, International, I would have to say Ralph Lauren,
Hmm.
like from the clothing to the interior design to the furniture to all of it.
Hmm.
And in India, I have quite a few favorites. So I would say, I think Tarun Tahiliani, Manish Malhotra,
Okay.
Suneet Verma. They're all like, I mean, I love all their work.
Okay. One trend you regret participating in.
I don't really follow trends, so I don't think I've really participated in any trend as such.
Okay. One celebrity you would want to style you haven't so far.
Lewis Hamilton.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
amazing.
I love the way he dresses, and he's super cool, and his whole vibe and the way he carries things off. And I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be really interesting. I feel it'd be challenging in a way. Make him
Uh,
mm,
Define Nandita Mahtani label in one word.
chic.
Any book of all time which is your favorite, which you would recommend everyone should read?
But she writes beautifully and very simple and easy reads. So she's
Really?
written the Ramayana, written the Mahabharata, but it's like, so it's from Sita's perspective, it's from
Oh,
Draupadi's
I've
perspective.
read Palace of Illusion. Is that the same
Yes,
writer?
same,
Oh, that
same.
book is amazing.
Yeah. So
From
both of these, I
George.
would say, are my two favorite. But I just said Forest of. So Forest of Enchantments is the Ramayana from Sita's life.
Okay, okay. I'll
Yeah.
definitely give it a read. And last
So
but
that
not
you can just put the thing because I don't think I said it right.
okay, okay, will do. And one piece of wardrobe, I mean, one piece in your wardrobe which you are emotionally or very proud of or emotionally attached to.
It's a tough one. There's so many because I'm honestly a hoarder. I have things that I bought when I was 16 and I still have them with me. And I still wear some of them. Uh, I think maybe I could say have I don't know. It's a difficult one.
Maybe your mom's jewelry or something.
Yeah, that goes without saying because I just try to take whatever I could of hers. But uh, I mean, I think most all of my jewelry is my mom's jewelry. I would say that, but I think one of my prized possessions is a watch that I bought when I was 18,
Hmm.
and I bought it myself from collecting um, my allowance
That
over a
resume.
period of time. And of course, at that, I mean, so that's something that is like a prized possession for me, which I still have.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Okay. And last but not least, and this is for me, I'm asking that the amount of travel you do, the kind of parties you go to, the socializing you do, I do 10% of that. And every time I go out and I end up drinking, eating, having dessert, and it is so bad because then you actually see very next day what's happening on the weighing scale. How do you remain this fit? I
so
genuinely.
firstly, you have to not say that it's so bad because I actually believe that eating and drinking and all of that is really good for you. I
Yeah.
actually genuinely believe that, and I come from a family that loves to go out to restaurants and eat and drink, and they love to entertain, and it's part of our DNA, and we all.
Yes.
And I mean, if so, I think it's all in your head as well. Sometimes if you decide and you say, okay, my God, this is not good for me, it's gonna be not good for you. So for
Hmm.
me, I actually believe that these things are good for me, and I thoroughly enjoy them. And I don't do it if I like. Of course, there are days and there are months at a time where I decide, okay, I'm not going to have a drink for three
Yeah.
months, or I'm not gonna, I'm gonna be disciplined with my food
Or
for a certain
sugar.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
But I think life is all about balance, and and I think today we all want to look after ourselves, and we all want to look good and feel good, and be healthy at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And when I say healthy, it's also mentally. Like I
Yeah.
feel one shouldn't stress about what you're eating and drinking and doing. Of course, like I said, everything should be in balance and moderation.
Hmm.
But the days that you want to go out and have a good time and just go all out, I think one should. And I very honestly live my life like that. I've always done that. And and of course there are times where you feel you've overdone certain things, and then you
You want to
make a
polish
conscious
it.
effort to
Yeah.
get back on track. and
Yeah.
and I try and go to like a health spa once a year if I can,
Hmm.
and I sleep a lot.
And health spa meaning you go for a detox for like 10 days or one week. Which one do you go to?
For 5 days at the
Oh,
most. I don't do more than that. So
I'm looking to go to Viva Meyer, but I've also heard in India also there are like some amazing
there are so
there.
I recently went to one in the south called Tula,
Okay.
and I think they haven't opened formally. They're opening sometime this month, but it was fantastic.
Really?
And it's what they call clinical wellness. So they look into your medical as well as your, just your well-being, as far as, there's a lot of
Okay.
massages, there's Ayurveda, there's modern medicine. So
Oh,
it's a great mix. And it's, I mean, it's just an hour, 10 minutes from Bombay, so very convenient.
Very convenient.
And then, of course, there's, there's so many, smaller,
Yeah.
like wellness resorts all over the country,
All over
which
the
are
country.
brilliant. And then, of course, there are abroad as well. So it depends, on my time and, where I am and it all depends on schedules and stuff. So
Sure.
if I'm in India, I try and, make a trip, even if it's 3 days or 4 days. And then if I'm away, I'll try and go to Milano, which is in Italy, for like 5 days. So that's a complete detox.
Okay.
And then, it's just kind of giving yourself like kickstarting into a healthier space. And then it's, and then it kind of gives you a guideline of how to try and get back on track.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I'm gonna give it. You have inspired me so much, Nandita, today, and thank you so much for sharing your
thank you.
journey. You have reminded that staying relevant isn't just chasing a trend, it's about building your signature and building something strong that actually lasts forever. So, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for inspiring and being, so kind and so sweet and approachable. And
Thank you.
I'm gonna feel this even for a longest time. And thank you for everything you do. And whenever you're in London, I'll see you on the other side. So
No, and thank you for having me and making it so easy because, like I said, this is the first time I'm like on a podcast, and I was a little nervous, as I told you, starting out. But you made it really easy, and I think the conversation just flowed really well. So thank you for making it that for me.
you inspire me
Lovely to
and
meet
so
you.
many other women. So continue doing what you do. And remember, this is not just a podcast, it's a community, it's a global sisterhood, and we all thrive
I
together.
love that.
Yes, and so until next time, just remember no matter who is holding your pen, but still go and write your book. And just like Nandita, just go create your own signature brand, signature style, signature personality so that no one can tell you to shrink. So until next time, stay powerful, stay amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to You Are a Force. Hit subscribe and join us next week for more powerful stories from women rewriting the rules. Until then, keep building, keep leading, and remember, you are a force.